Okay, so hello everyone. I think Venus has already told you, but I don't speak Cantonese, so I'm not sure. My name is Callum and I'm from Humber College. Right now I'm in Toronto and Humber College is based in Toronto. Right now we've seen a whole bunch of students from Hong Kong coming pretty much in the last 3 years, which is really great for Canadian schools, not just Humber, but all the schools across Canada. And we're very excited to have students from Hong Kong. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the college itself. Okay, so we're located in the city of Toronto, which is Canada's largest city, by far Canada's largest city. There are 3 million people in Toronto, but if you include the surrounding areas, it's a lot more than 3 million. It's ranked as the 11th best destination to study in the world and the second best quality of life in North America. It's also a very, very safe city, and you can get a world-class education at Humber or at some of the other public colleges and universities. So this is just one of our students talking about Toronto having a lot to do. I think probably one of the best things about Toronto, one of the highlights of the city, is there's festivals and activities happening all year round. If I started this seminar 1 hour earlier, you'd probably be hearing dance music right now because Toronto right now is Pride. So there are massive parties happening around the city for the next 2 days. And then after that, there's a jazz festival coming up. There's a Caribbean festival. There's a street food festival. There's tons of concerts. There's lots and lots to do in the city of Toronto. So there is an idea that Canada gets very, very cold, which of course it does, but only for a part of the year. Right now, Toronto is beautiful. It was about 24 degrees today, which is quite comfortable. But of course, in winter, it can get down to a little bit colder. Toronto, by comparison, is a bit warmer than most cities in Canada. The coldest it gets in winter, maybe 1 or 2 days, is minus 15 or minus 17, whereas some parts of Canada get down to minus 40. So we're not as warm as the city of Vancouver, but we are warmer compared to most cities in Canada. Humber College has been around for about 55 years. And Humber's entire focus, what Humber strives to do differently than the other colleges, is focus on work and giving students job skills, job preparation, everything related to work is where Humber is very, very strong, especially compared to the other colleges in the city of Toronto. So these are not Humber statistics, these are government statistics, and we know that Humber has the highest employer satisfaction and the highest employment rate within 6 months. This is compared to the other colleges in the city of Toronto. So right now there are 4 colleges in Toronto and then 1 right beside, which you can also kind of group in there. So out of those 5 colleges, Humber has by far the highest employer satisfaction and the highest employment rate. And that comes back to Humber's focus, which is all around giving students job skills. We have about 7,000 international students right now, and about 34,000 full-time students. What's not here is we have about 100,000 students total, which by total number of students makes us the largest college in the entire country. So it is a very, very big institution spread across 3 campuses. I've mentioned some of this already. We have 3 campuses, all in the city of Toronto. If you're into sports, we do have 20 varsity teams, and we have had international students play on those teams. So if you're particularly good at, say, football or volleyball or badminton, there are opportunities to get on those teams and also to receive scholarships. There's over 50 student clubs as well, which is a great way to make friends and make connections once you're in the city. Out of the Toronto colleges, Humber also has the best study abroad program. So even though students are coming to study in Canada, maybe if you want to do a short-term study, it could even just be a couple weeks, or it could be a full semester in another country. Humber has many, many options for students to do that. And we do pay part of the cost of when students are studying abroad. And of course, I believe Venus mentioned, Since we are a public college, students are eligible for anything between a 1 to 3 year postgrad work permit once they complete their program. So our North Campus is our largest campus, which has about 20,000 full-time students. It has writing centers, it has a huge library, it has a great gym, but the other campuses have that, or the other campus, the Lakeshore campus, has that as well. This one does have a lot of eating places where students can eat, and especially it has a fine dining restaurant, which the other campuses do not. And this one has a pool and a spa, which our other campuses don't have. If you're a Humber student at another campus, you can still use the facilities on this campus or any campus that Humber has. Your student card gets you access to everything at every campus, even though your classes will just be at a single campus. Our North Campus also has something called the Barrett Center for Technology. This is where students can use the absolute most advanced electromechanical, mechanical engineering equipment. So Humber has partnered with some of the biggest companies in the world, companies like KUKA, a lot of these big German companies who make these machines. These are the newest machines and students get to use them at Humber. No other college has this. So it is a real asset for students who want to get into the engineering field, or even some of the students in IT or software can use some of this as well. Our Lakeshore campus is our second largest, which has about 11,000 full-time students, a lot more part-time, but 11,000 full-time students. The campus itself looks like kind of a classic university. It's a very large green space with buildings that are over 100 years old, and then very, very close to a beach, lots of apple trees. So it's a very, very lovely space for students to study. It says here that it's accessible to public transport, but that's true for any Humber campus. Every single Humber campus is a major bus or subway transit point. So students can easily get from campus to campus or campus to wherever they're going, and students don't need their own car. Our newest campus is right in the heart of downtown. It is called the Downtown Campus or the International Graduate School. This is just for postgrad programs, and it is located next to the busiest subway intersection in the entire city. A big advantage of this campus is that students who want to be closer to the big companies would be closer to that because it's right downtown. Otherwise, the programs themselves are exactly the same. If a student studies at this campus or the North Campus, if it's the same program, there's no difference in the actual program itself. But students who are at the downtown campus will be closer to some of those big companies. If you study here or even at the other campuses in graduate programs, you can get credit towards a master's degree. So a lot of students are trying to do 1+1 year postgrad plus 1 year and then get a master's. We do have the opportunity to do that in some of Humber's graduate programs. We only opened the doors of this campus in January 2021, so it's just 3 years old, but it is a brand new modern space that Humber has renovated. So it's a great place for you to do your studies. Since we are the largest college, we do have a bit of everything. So we have fashion and aesthetics, applied tech and engineering, which I've already talked about, health and wellness, including the largest nursing program in Canada, business, accounting, and management, which is our biggest section, creative arts and design, emergency services, child and youth care, and community. We also have skilled trades. This is something when I go to Asia and I talk about skilled trades, usually it doesn't seem very attractive. When students think about doing a program like cabinet making or electrical techniques or plumbing techniques or welding techniques, a lot of students in Asia and their parents think, well, there's not a lot of jobs in that, or there's not a lot of money in that. That is wrong. In Canada right now, usually someone who graduates from these programs starting salary is higher than a business graduate or higher than an engineering graduate. So if a student is good with their hands, there's a lot of options in the skilled trades. The next one is media, public relations, and marketing. Humber actually has the largest media faculty of any university or any college in the entire country. And over a quarter of the people who work in the media field in the city of Toronto are Humber graduates, which is more than any college or university. We also have music and performing arts. Hospitality and tourism, just to mention that one for a bit, we do have baking and pastry and culinary. And right before the COVID pandemic started, there was the Culinary Olympics in Germany, and Humber students came out with the gold medal. So we have an excellent cooking program if students want to get into cooking. We also have IT and digital technology, foundations, and law. Okay, this shows just a few of the companies that Humber works with that you probably know well. If students are getting into hospitality, we are partnered with Hilton, with IHG, with Marriott, with some of the biggest companies, biggest hotel brands and cruise ship brands, as well as Air Canada for students who are looking to get into the airline industry. For students who want to get into international development, we have a partnership with the United Nations. For students who want supply chain, we are partnered with Walmart. Walmart actually helped us to design our bachelor degree in supply chain, which I think makes it the most advanced one of any school. And a lot of our graduates get hired by Walmart in their supply chain division. For students in IT, we have partnerships with Microsoft, Xerox, and Oracle, and several other companies that are not listed here. We have over 1,000 partners. Humber has 3 intakes a year. So we offer programs starting in January, May, and September. There are guidelines when to apply, but please ignore them. You should apply as early as possible. For January, we already have programs that are full, even though we just opened applications. Programs in health, community programs, and 2-year postgraduates generally fill the fastest. So those programs, you have to be super fast when you apply. The cost to study at Humber, if you're doing an English language program, it's about $3,300 for one level. Diploma, advanced diploma, or a certificate is anywhere from $17,000 to $21,000. A bachelor degree is anywhere from $19,000 to $21,000. And a postgrad is anywhere from $17,500 to $21,000 for 1 year of study. This cost includes health insurance and all school fees, but does not include things like food or transport or housing. I won't go through all the requirements here for IELTS and TOEFL. Most of our students from Hong Kong are doing IELTS. For a 2-year or 3-year diploma, we require a 6.0 on IELTS. For a bachelor degree or a postgrad, we require 6.5. Right now, we are also taking Duolingo, which we're seeing a lot of students from Hong Kong do, but we also take PTE and TOEFL. So there are other options that students can do too. Our requirements for Hong Kong, for students who have been in the system for ever since there's been the HKDSC, our requirement is 3 past classes for students going into a undergraduate program, a 2- or 3-year diploma. So we need 3 individual classes where students are passing. For postgraduates, we just need completion of a bachelor degree. That could be a bachelor degree from Hong Kong or from any other country. If a student doesn't have their English at the time of application, they can still apply to Humber, but not for all programs. So Venus will know about this. On our website, it lists programs that are conditional and not conditional. So if it is conditional, you can apply without an English test. If it doesn't have that check mark, students must have the English test at the time they apply. But I always suggest that students have the test when they apply because it just makes the system a lot easier. If you don't have an English test when you apply, you'll get a conditional acceptance, which means that you're not fully accepted until we see your final grades or your English score. If you have your English test at the time you apply, you can get a full offer right away. Some programs are competitive, so I gave the basic requirements, 3 subjects for the HKDSC or else a bachelor degree for postgrad, but some subjects are competitive, and the higher the grade you have, the better chance you have of getting in. This is especially true for health programs. So any students who want nursing, biotechnology, physiotherapy assistant, pharmacy, these programs are very competitive, so you have to have much better grades to get in. Some programs also have secondary requirements. This could be a resume, portfolio, essay, audition, writing sample. So we don't just look at grades for those programs, we have to look at the secondary requirement as well. The cost to study at Humber, according to this page, it's anywhere between $29,000 and $35,000. This is about 2 years old. I would say this is not really accurate anymore. The cost to live in Toronto, inflation has increased things a lot. And this has happened, I think, mostly around the entire world. I would think realistically, it's more like $33,000 to $40,000 per year right now. The good thing is that even though these costs have gone up, the salaries that students are making have also gone up. Since you will be studying at Humber College, which is a public school, you are allowed to work. So you can work part-time during your studies, and Humber will help you if you want a part-time job. We have an amazing career center. When I started this presentation, I talked about Humber having the highest employment rate. That's not just after graduation, it's also during studies. So if you want a part-time job, come into our office. We'll help you with your resume, with interview skills, and connect you to companies who are hiring. Right now, Toronto has a worker shortage. We need people to come work. So this is an advantage, even though the city has gotten more expensive. We do have diplomas we do have scholarships for 2- and 3-year diplomas, but these are quite limited. We've recently switched to a new system where we provide 1 scholarship per semester to the best student by country. So that means Hong Kong students would only get only one Hong Kong student per semester would get a scholarship. For this scholarship, you don't need to apply. We just look at grades and the money is automatically given to the students. A much easier scholarship to get is our bachelor degree scholarship. So students who are doing a 4-year bachelor degree at Humber, and I believe we have about 10 of them from Hong Kong right now, as long as your grades in Hong Kong were the equivalent of 75% or higher, you can get scholarship money, which the higher your grades, the more money you get. And then you can renew that scholarship every year unless you're between 75 and 79%. But otherwise, you can get that money every single year. We have had many students get $16,000, which is more, as I understand, than any public college in Ontario provides. So for bachelor degrees, we have a lot of scholarship. Just like you'll probably hear, housing in Toronto is getting more difficult to find. We don't quite have enough places for students to live, so it's important you find a place to live before you come. We do have a dormitory on campus. So if you're coming in September or in May, you can apply to stay in the dormitory. If you're coming in January, chances are there is no space in the dormitory because students from September will not leave. So January, you're pretty much on your own at finding a place to live. Humber does provide websites where students can find a place to live, but Humber itself does not provide assistance in finding off-campus housing. If you do come to our dormitory, I've been to all the dormitories in Toronto. I believe Humber is the nicest. So this is an example of one of our styles of dormitory. So that's one person, one individual person's room. It's quite large. There's a big bed and a big window that has a great view. This is our other style of dorm, which is much smaller. Same thing, you still have a bed, a window, and a desk, but the bed itself is much smaller. This one is more affordable than the other option, and the washrooms are kind of like a large multi-stall shared washroom between members of the same gender. The other type was the one of the picture I showed you, which is called our resident suite floor plan, where students have their own bedroom, but they would share a kitchenette and a bathroom with just one other student. Both of these styles of dormitory are right on campus, so students don't need to travel if you're living in the dormitory. So the convenience is definitely there. And as I mentioned, I've been to all the dormitories and Humber's is the nicest. Okay, here shows a map of Toronto and where our campuses are. All 3 Humber campuses are located in the city of Toronto. So I know I have had a few Hong Kong students say, I have family in Mississauga. Is it close to Humber College? So you can see here on the map on the left side, Mississauga is very close to our North Campus and our Lakeshore Campus. Even though both of our campuses are located in the city of Toronto, there are Mississauga buses that cross that line to go to our campuses. So if you're staying with family in Mississauga, you can still easily get to Humber College North and Lakeshore campus. The downtown campus, that's a lot farther. So you see up at the top of the map is our North Campus, which is very close to the airport. When you actually fly into Toronto, many of the flights go over our campus. So you'll actually see it when you're flying into the city. If you go straight down, there's our Lakeshore campus, which, as I mentioned, is the one with buildings that are over 100 years old, very big green space. It's located right next to Lake Ontario, and there's even a little beach there. So if students, well, what a lot of our students do is they'll have picnics kind of by the water side. And there's a lot of great restaurants around where you can get food and then just bring it by the lake to have a picnic or sit on a picnic bench and enjoy your lunch. And then if you go towards the other side where there's all the red squares, which are all of Toronto's biggest attractions, there is our downtown campus, our international graduate school. So if you're looking for kind of more the big city life, the more busy part of Toronto, the more action part of Toronto, you should consider the International Graduate School because it is right in the heart of the city. Okay, and I will finish off there. And Venus, if you can help me do a basic translation or let students know what I said, that would be great.
Sure, okay, I'll just wrap up to Cantonese, then we can do the Q&A session. 咁係啦，咁簡單講一講嗰個即係 Humber College 有幾個 main point 啦，咁個 campus 啦，咁又主要有 Lakeshore 啦、North Campus 啦，同埋一個Toronto 嘅 campus 嘅，咁主要3個 campus。咁主要咧可能多啲學生就會係 Lakeshore 同埋 North 會多少少學生，咁同埋會係即係有個校園啦，咁同埋嗰個大家用嘅學校嘅 facilities 都可以通用嘅，咁只要你有張 student card 啦，其實你就可以喺 within campus 唔同嘅你想用佢嘅 gym 都可以用到嘅，咁所以但係當然啦，你睇翻你自己住邊啦，如果唔係你個 travel 嘅時間都會比較遠啲。咁本身Humber College 其實都 offer 咗好多唔同嘅 program 嘅，咁頭先Callum 都提到係一個即係最高嘅 employment rate 啦，好高啦，咁所以好多人都想請好多Humber College 嘅畢業生嘅，咁同埋佢哋都同好多唔同嘅大型嘅機構啦，或者公司去合作啦，好多 co-op 啊、placement 啊都可以 offer 到俾學生啦。咁其實都不斷強調，所以成日都做 webinar 嘅時候都有講到話其實多人都好需要人嘅，咁所以點解即係佢哋都好想吸納多啲新嘅人嚟幫手去提升個勞動力個人口，因為都唔夠人嘅本身加拿大都，咁所以有咁多移民 policy 其實都幫到即係振興翻加拿大經濟啦。咁同埋如果你需要做嘢，咁可以喺加拿大讀書嘅時候，你都可以揾到嘢做嘅，因為我哋如果攞住個 study permit 係可以做20個 hours 嘅一個禮拜啦，冇超過20個鐘頭嘅part time job 啦。咁如果你需要 part time，可以去揾Humber College 啦，佢哋都話如果你俾個 CV 佢哋都會盡量睇翻你有咩工種係啱佢啊，或者可能佢都會好快揾到個工作俾你，或者做一啲配對啊等等啦。咁所以其實都唔使太擔心嗰樣嘢，就係個就業嘅情況嘅，因為其實都好多學生咧都反映到，其實我哋而家去咗加拿大學生好多都有做 part time 嘅，都有做埋，都唔係話難揾嘅，都易揾到。咁但係當然你睇翻你自己想做啲咩工種啦。咁所以啦，如果你話Humber College 啦，咁你話做個 living cost 其實會相對平少少，因為睇翻你住邊啦。咁頭先都有提過啦。如果你話住嗰區有啲人可能話有親戚住 Mississauga， 咁其實又係冇遠咧，其實都唔算遠嘅，好近嘅。咁當然你可以諗下住呢一區啦，或者頭先有一個圖都有講嘅就係可能會比較係佢又如果你話唔係我個親戚住 Markham 咁就真係好遠啊。但係如果你話喺下邊Mississauga 呢就會近啲啦。咁所以你可以睇翻自己想住邊個 campus 啦，而揾翻附近嘅地方。咁同埋都近機場嘅，咁所以你話去到佢話都 North Campus 就會近機場多少少咯。咁基本上嗰邊其實都有好多唔同嘅，我哋高 bus 又有有啲落少少可以連埋 subway 等等啦。咁所以嗰個交通或者 GO station 啦，咁所以個配套都非常之好嘅。咁另外提到啦嗰個學費啦，而家大概個 tuition fee 係 around 可能17,000加紙一年左右啦，睇翻你嘅 program 啦，咁最貴有啲可能去到2萬蚊加紙嘅。 咁唯一可能嗰個 living cost 其實就而家升咗好多，係因為個 housing 嗰樣嘢，因為嗰個通脹都嚴重啊。咁同埋嗰個住，因為個需求都大，咁所以變咗可能住嗰度會貴啲啦。咁tuition fee 其實都差唔多嘅啫，都係你每個 program 都係間院校差唔多，可能有啲平啲，可能16,000都有啦，17,000咁左右啦。咁而家普遍有啲 college 都去到18,000、19,000都有噶啦。咁所以算做即係 Humber College 相對上會係平啲嘅，如果 compare to 係多人都係 college， 我覺得就相對係學費平啲啦，個住嗰個 area 附近都平啲啦。係啦，咁當然都睇翻你咩 campus 啦。咁如果你話原來我係要去downtown個 campus，咁可能你就要即係住附近就會再貴啲啦。咁所以留意翻啦。咁另外個 entry requirement 就係如果你想係入 Humber College 啦，咁基本上如果你 DSE 學生，其實你只有3個 pass 啦，咁你就可以即係入到噶啦。咁另外需要啦就係英文要求啦。咁如果你即係如果你喺香港讀中學，咁你本身教學語言香港大部分都係即係中文為主啦，咁所以就因為其中香港都唔係一個即係佢個 native 嘅 language 唔係英文啦，所以都要考翻個 IELTS 啦。咁呢個 Duolingo 咧都而家都比較普遍嘅，咁大家即係可以考唔同嘅英文試啦。另外最後提到 scholarship 嗰樣嘢啦，咁 scholarship 咧其實就分幾樣嘢嘅。咁第一咧，其實有提過個 entry scholarship 咧，其實每一個 region 其實得一個名額嘅，咁所以其實你香港其實得一個嘅啫。咁佢話就揀最 top 嗰個，係啦，咁就會自動會俾你嘅。咁2000蚊價錢。咁另外一個咧就係啲 bachelor 嘅scholarship 啦。咁如果你話佢會睇翻你分數嘅，咁如果你想讀 Humber College 嘅 bachelor 啦，咁頭先佢提到都有話大概10個香港生而家都讀緊嘅，因為始終 Diploma 會比較熱門啲啊。咁都有嘅。如果你話想讀 bachelor，其實 college 都有 offer bachelor 嘅 program，咁所以佢都會睇翻你 score 啦，再俾翻嗰個 scholarship 嚟嘅。咁其實好多呢啲叫做entry scholarship 都唔使 apply 嘅，其實學校會睇咗你個成績就會自動 offer 俾你嘅。咁當然啦，會有呢個即係當然啦，我俾多個有個 option 俾大家，就係即係你都有可能有機會攞到個 scholarship 嘅，咁不過要睇翻你嗰個成績係點樣啦。咁所以基本上咧，就係睇翻你自己有冇啲咩 program 去符合翻自己啦，可以再問翻學校代表啦。咁如果你有啲咩問題咧，而家可以係提出㗎啦。咁如果唔係，我就會開始問其他問題。咁睇下你哋最後啦，咁我哋都會有簡單總結嘅。好，咁提翻啦，如果即係想揾我哋去做所有申請啦，我哋都有個 checklist 會俾翻大家嘅。咁提供翻入邊嘅成績單啦、英文成績啊、護照啊、CV 啊等等啦。咁譬如你有需要一個緊急嘅聯絡人啦，咁你會俾我哋啦。咁我哋其實都會幫你填晒啲 form 嘅，咁所以唔使太擔心會唔會話驚唔識填啊咁樣。咁我哋會幫你去解晒佢哋嘅。咁program 嗰度啦，其實通常你都可以揀2至3個，即係揀2至3個 choice。咁睇翻個學校啦，咁通常會有第一個 first choice 啦，咁你會有 second choice 啦，有啲會去有第3個 choice 都有嘅。咁 Humber 可以填3個 choice 嘅。咁睇翻你自己啦，因為其實佢就都係睇下個第一個 choice 爆咗未，如果爆咗咁就落第二個 choice 咯。咁所以其實都係會出咗一個 offer 俾你先嘅。咁呢個 checklist 如果你大家需要咧，可以之後 WhatsApp 翻我哋會可以俾翻你嘅。咁大家有個 idea 先，或者你想 cap 都可以 cap 咗先嘅。咁我哋通常都話啦，如果你想 prepare 得好啲，咁最好有8個月時間去準備啦。咁你就會，如果你跟住我啲 timeline，你就會好舒服咁樣就準備去加拿大。咁如果你冇呢個都唔緊要嘅，你會趕急少少嘅。咁所以你話而家我哋1月嗰啲咧，其實都仲有好多時間去處理嘅。咁但係都要快啦。咁9月就會係最問啦。咁如果你話5月2024年開學咧，咁頭先都講咗9月先開 application 嘅。咁啲人都會問啦，其實5月講唔一次行咗 Stream A 咧，其實都仲講得切嘅，因為佢係8月30號先至截止。咁如果你5月開學咧，你會一口氣讀晒4個 semester 嘅 ，OK， 中間冇 break 嘅。咁但係你反而9月開學，可能中間要放個 break 啊。咁所以其實就睇翻你自己啦。咁所以你話如果想一口氣讀晒咧，其實1月5月嗰個編輯係幾唔錯嘅，因為可以慳時間一次過讀晒4個 semester， 咁就叫做其實已經 title 係2年嘅 Diploma 噶啦。OK， 咁提翻呢個最後嘅申請時間表啦。如果你有興趣報讀加拿大嘅院校啦，咁其實我哋而家都話要把握機會，好快呢步啦。咁當然仍然都接受申請嘅。咁一路其實嗰個 application 其實就冇一個實際 deadline，因為其實所有嘅 program 一 full 咗就 cut 人㗎啦，佢就 唔會再收㗎啦。Even 你報名嗰一刻可能仲話有位，但係可能去到 process 你 application 嘅時候就會話已經 full 咗啦。咁所以都冇任何 guarantee 嘅。咁但係當然啦。自己做啲準備去做申請咧，個位就會俾咗你嘅。咁所以我哋都 target 就希望啲嘢齊啦，同埋都係盡快去報名啦。咁我哋可以快啲攞到個 offer 嘅。咁所以呢個就 timeline 啦。如果係需要呢個 timeline 都可以問我哋拎後即係問我哋拎翻嘅。咁同樣你需要我哋做 consultation 嘅話，可以留 WhatsApp 俾我哋啦，我哋會同你約時間啦。咁係啦，咁呢個最後啦，如果你想問我哋去做 consultation 嘅話咧，歡迎有個 QR code 啦，約同事啦，或者你喺 WhatsApp 嗰度咧都可以簡單聯絡我哋會有同事跟進，睇下你想約幾時做個 consultation 嘅。咁啊 consultation 可以係 Zoom 做啦，或者你現場即係 I mean 嚟到我哋尖沙咀 office 都可以。咁通常我哋就 prefer 就 Zoom 啦，因為大家方便嘛。咁同埋都係30分鐘。咁其實如果係有咩講都可以喺 Zoom 嗰度解決晒就得㗎啦。咁係啦，咁多謝大家今日朝頭早嘅出席啦。咁記住 book mark 我哋7月15號有個展覽啦，歡迎大家到時即係開放登記就好搶位啦，因為香港好少人搞真係專做加拿大同埋要職場有學校代表嚟嘅展覽嘅，咁所以都係好難得嘅機會。咁係啦，多謝大家嘅出席。咁呢個 screen 咧我會留多一陣嘅。咁如果你有啲咩問題唔清楚，都歡迎喺 WhatsApp 嗰度同我哋去聯絡啦。咁多謝你哋。咁希望有個愉快嘅週末，下次再見啦，拜拜。